About a week ago, I had a chance to visit Matt Farah in his garage in Los Angeles for the launch event with his collaboration watch with Notice. And Matt is a big watch nerd, so we had a chance to sit down and talk about some of the more interesting pieces in his collection. Welcome back to the Anachronist Podcast. Today we're coming to you from a very special location. We're actually at the studio for Matt Farah. Now, you might know Matt as the editor-in-large for Road & Track magazine. You might know him as the host of the Smoking Tire YouTube channel. I know Matt as the guy I grew up watching who was tearing sports cars around in the hills of Los Angeles. So thank you, Matt, for having us.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. How does it feel to be interviewed in your own studio?
Not the first time, but it's interesting. It's actually freeing in a way. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of responsibility. You decide what we want to talk about, and I'll just yak.
So you brought some interesting watches.
I've probably got 7 or 8 modded Seikos. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of them, and I wear them often. They all get wrist time, and I don't feel more satisfied in a more expensive watch than I do in a cheap watch. It's just like, what's the vibe of the day? So, so this piece, it's a full custom from N Horology Lab. If you know him on Instagram, the dude rocks. I mean, he's awesome. And this is a particularly special piece for me because my favorite place in the world is Tahiti. I have another Tahiti-related watch here. And when I went to Tahiti, they have all this black pearl stuff, but it's all super femme. It's all for women. And they didn't have anything masculine. And I was so bummed because black pearl is so cool. So it's got the black ceramic bezel. It's got the gold case. It's got this sort of fakey oyster flex rubber bee strap. But it's got this Tahitian black pearl dial that looks like a thunderstorm when it moves across the light. And then for fun, it's got a shark second hand that swims around the dial almost like a shark swimming through an aquarium or something.
You know, I feel like Seiko is kind of like the Honda Civic of the watch world. Like you can wear a stock and love it, and it's economical, and it makes sense, and it's robust. Yeah. And then you can customize it to hell.
Yeah. I refer to them as Mustangs, but if you want to go Japanese, it can be the Civic as well. Yeah.
To me, this is like a K-swapped EK.
Sure. Yeah. And then to stick with the theme, I brought the Grand Seiko. I love Grand Seiko. I mean, it's just...
I think the world knows that.
They've figured it out. They've figured out that I love... Oh, because I said it on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, right.
The CEO of Grand Seiko wrote me a letter thanking me for that. And so I've got a few Grand Seikos. They're amazing. They're built and styled like Pateks almost, and they're half the price. And this one's a spring drive. It's extraordinarily beautiful. This Lake Suwa dial. I mean, I love the ocean. And is there a better dial on earth than this Lake Suwa dial?
It is mesmerizing. And I also just love the little stories that Grand Seiko attaches. It's very romantic. They're like, for 1 month a year as the wind blows over the ocean. You know?
When I was up on stage at the event, I was talking mad shit. I was like, next year they're going to come out with one that's like, I came out to my car and there was a leaf on the hood, and I found a piece of bologna on my windshield, and it inspired me to make a dial. I don't know. So this one's got a strap from the Strap Tailor on it. I think Strap Tailor makes...
I work with him.
Strap Tailor, shout out to him, makes really nice...
David.
Beautiful straps. I really like that. So my Explorer 2, this is my favorite Rolex. Just pure objectively, which do I like the best? Explorer 2, fat hands, not the newest one, the one that they made from 2011 or 12 until last year.
Hard to tell the difference.
But I like the fat hands, and I wear this watch a lot. I've worn it a lot. It's one of my favorite watches to travel with. I love the case size on my wrist. I love that it's not too thick, but it's still kind of a big face by Rolex standards. I love the satin finish on all of it. But right before COVID, literally like a week before COVID, went to Tahiti with my family and my brother-in-law and his wife, and it was the best trip we've ever been on. 10 days sailing. We charter sailboats, and my brother ended up getting sick with leukemia, passing away, and that was the last trip that he ever really took. And I wanted to do something, I've already got this black pearl stuff, but that's the watch I wore on that trip, and I continue to travel a lot with it. And I saw the dial artist on Instagram, Chris, that's literally at the dial artist, and some of the stuff he was doing with the micro artistry. And I hit him up, and all of a sudden I remembered the map, the overhead map of Bora Bora, like the satellite photo. It's a very cool and unique island. It looks different from other islands. And I hit him up and I said, could you paint Bora Bora on my dial? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And the work he did on it, it's unbelievable.
Well, you don't notice it from far away, but when you get really close, there's topography.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's a beautifully done, like a photorealistic satellite image.
Tell us how you feel about your Speedy.
So, there's a lot to love about a Speedmaster. And this one is the right one for me because it's a pre-moon 1966 Speedmaster. It has a service movement in it. It also has service hands, which you being a super nerd can probably tell. So
they're a little bit brighter.
They're a little bit too bright. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The case and the dial are original and unrestored. This one can be like a car. This is like having a Shelby GT350 with a non-numbers matching engine. Mm-hmm. Has the correct engine. When you drive it up the road, it runs just like it's supposed to. It sounds right. Mm-hmm. But, the only person who cares about the numbers are the person who buys it and the person who sells it. And in between, does it work?
Also, because it's not sort of a relic museum piece, it makes it easier to wear.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's not super precious, right. As far as Speedies go. It doesn't have any historical significance besides being old.
When they sort of revamped the Speedmaster about a year ago, they actually brought back some of those features in the new one.
Yeah.
So
I've been close to buying a new one a few times, but I've just they're expensive. I got a lot of watches.
I'll tell you the secret. Get the bracelet from the new one.
Right.
And put it on the old one.
Right. So, yeah, Speedmaster is good and is important. And then we'll go a little more modern. Icopod, Hemipod chronograph. This one's from 1997 or 8. I think this is a really, really cool piece. I'm a big fan of Mark Newson's design work. His industrial design, his car design. But my favorite thing about it is the strap. So, I'm sure that and I'm sure some of your listeners know that Mark Newson went on to design the Apple Watch in 2015. So this watch and this strap are from 17 years before that. That is the Apple Watch strap.
Right.
And so, I don't like smartwatches. I don't care if you wear one. There's clearly a time and a place, and that's fine. But I need less connectivity in my life, not more. And so the Icopods, to me, are like the grandparents of the Apple Watches, and I find that to be really interesting.
With this case design, there's no lugs. Mm-hmm. And so you can get away wearing a bigger watch.
That's 45.
That's crazy.
A 45 millimeter watch that wears like a 40. Or 41.
Yeah.
Like you put that next to a 42 millimeter Explorer 2 or a 42 millimeter Speedy, and it's like not bigger. I don't like watch car collabs. I think they're fucking hokey. They're stupid. Watches and cars are already so related. We don't need to shove it in each other's faces.
What about Porsche design?
Porsche design is sort of the one exception because as long as you understand what Porsche design is. Right. And I don't like the Porsche design. I like the vintage ones, the Orfina stuff and whatever. I don't like the one that you get to like match your GT3. Right. I'm not into that.
Yeah, I have one of those old Top Gun.
Yeah, the Top Gun one is pretty cool. But like the new one where like the winding rotor is a GT3 wheel, it's like a little too on the nose for me.
Then it's just merch.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. But this is the Archnaut Arc 2 Fordite, and this is where a watch car collab goes best. Not just right, but best. Archnaut from Denmark, in working with Black Badger, materials genius. I love James. He's the fucking shit. And Fordite is a material that is made from hardened car paint. Literally, the Ford factory in Michigan, they would paint the cars, the excess paint would drip onto the floor, build up over time, harden, and then they would mill out blocks of this stuff that is made of car paint. And in fact, I can tell because I'm a big nerd, that this particular block of Fordite was from Ford in probably the early 1990s. It's the reds and the sort of teals that give it away.
Okay.
And
so when you look at this, you see like Focus.
No, Mustangs, Tauruses, stuff like that, 90s.
Well, when I look at that dial, I want to cry because for 2 years, sort of spanning mostly college, I turned my parents' two-car garage into a paint booth.
Oh, yeah.
I decided I was going to paint my own car.
Oh, boy.
I didn't realize
that went well.
Yeah, I got the air compressors and the paint guns and the suit and everything. But what I didn't realize is you shouldn't start with a metallic paint as your first try.
Right.
So there's a lot of tears.
Yeah, bummer.
The main event today is we're at the launch party for a collaboration watch. Just as you said, car and watch collaborations need to be done with care.
Right.
So Colin is one of the founders of Notice Watches, which is also based down here in Los Angeles. But Matt, I want to start with just asking you, where did the idea with this collaboration come from, and what inspired it?
It came from Notice, actually. And when they came down and showed me the stuff that they had been making was very high quality, especially considering the price.
The Sector Sport models on the channel is one of my favorite micro-brand watches. And from a distance, this looks very similar, but actually, technically, it's a completely new watch. Yep. So Colin, maybe you can speak to the specifications of it.
I mean, clearly from the outside, it's based on the Sector Sport. Like, that was the first watch Matt gravitated towards
when they brought out the case. I was like, that one is cool.
The frosty blue,
the ice blue, the ice blue, which was gorgeous. I was like, let's start here and then go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But then it was too small for Matt. Has a larger wrist. The biggest challenge for us was Matt's partially colorblind.
Yeah.
So
secrets out.
So designing that was interesting because we've never designed with someone who's colorblind, and we don't know what Matt is seeing compared to what we're seeing. So we went through so many colors in the prototyping phase, and we whittled it down finally to 3 colors.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be too car-y, and so if we could come up with details where you weren't like, well, why is there a tire on this? And so we think that the end result is something that you don't need to care about cars to appreciate it as a watch.
Yep. The case back is actually really cool because the naming of this watch came from from the idea of the canyons that Matt.
Yeah, Matt, maybe you can tell us a little bit more for people who didn't grow up watching you.
The mountains where we film are colloquially known as the canyons, both in Malibu and the Angeles Forest. And so I actually had very specific hardware requirements. I wanted it to be 41 millimeter. I wanted it to be as thin as possible within reason.
So what is it, 12 millimeters?
11.5.
11.5,
wow,
200
really
meters.
Yeah.
Water resistance.
Whereas the dimension of the normal Sport is what?
12.5, 12.6.
Yeah.
By
38.
38?
Yeah.
I wanted a Jubilee bracelet. I wanted
taper.
I wanted I wanted the exact Rolex taper, which is 20 to 16.
Yep.
I wanted the Notice is obviously their adjustable deployant clasp, and I wanted to be able to both adjust the bracelet and take the bracelet off without tools. And I was not as concerned with seeing the movement, but I was concerned that a crystal case back would make it thicker, so we threw that out. So
the normal Sport has a Seiko NH movement, and this one is
the LJP G101, the no date version,
right? Which is Swiss
made. It's 60. I love it because it has a 68-hour power reserve, and then
do they build any sort of anti-shock mechanism into?
There's anti-shock. So it's anti-shock, and it's actually based. This movement is based on a Japanese Miyota movement, but it's been Swissified. It actually has better anti-magnetic properties than the Miyota movement. Longer power reserve, better anti-shock. So far we've been loving the movement.
And when I said to them, when I said, this is what I want the watch to do, they said, we're a little concerned because we've never sold a watch for over $1,000 before, and this is if we do this watch, there's no way we can sell it for less than that. And I go, look, what we're going to do is we're going to build a watch that if it said Baume & Mercier or Longines or Tissot or Mont Blanc on it, it would be a $4,000 watch, and we're going to sell it for $1,200. And the idea being that if you're coming up from a Seiko or you're coming down from a Rolex into this watch, you put it on and you go, that's nice. And so far, the people that we've sold them to, I mean, the people who've come back to me, some have said, this is the first time I've bought a new watch and I love it. And my one friend Ryan from up north in Sacramento has APs and Ulysse Nardin and buys every new Rolex. He got one and he's like, dude, you smashed this. This is great.
Good job, Colin. Thank you, Matt.
Of course.
For lending us your studio. Let's
go to the party.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.